Cold and flu season is upon us, yet treating and alleviating colds and the flu can be challenging, but no longer.
Absolutely, because today we're learning more about a scientific discovery that could change the way we protect ourselves from the cause of airborne infections in the future.
I need this. Joining us in the studio is Klaus Ekstrand, Enzymatica CEO. We're also going to hear from Professor Glenn Davison, School of Sport and Exercise Science at the University of Kent, all the way in the UK.
Wow.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Look, we've all been, trying to treat a cold or a flu, and we know it's going to be frustrating. And, I think the truth of the matter is that most people think there is no cure for the common cold, but you guys have been working really hard to change that, right?
Yeah, we're trying. But as we all know, the common cold is here to stay.
Yeah.
But there are different ways of treating the common cold than what we're doing today. As you know, the products today treat the symptoms and not the underlying cause.
That's true.
Our mission at Enzymatica is to develop products that actually deals with the virus infection itself to make sure that we stop the virus before it seriously infects the different people.
And let me tell you, a cold can really be debilitating, sometimes even lasting 2 weeks. I've been through that. And I was reading here, Montel, that on average, adults catch more than 150 colds throughout their lives.
Wow.
150, that's a lot.
I probably already had them.
There you go. And it's caused by different families of viruses. So I want to bring in Professor Davison, who could tell us more about these viruses. Professor?
The common cold is a type of upper respiratory tract infection. It's not the only one. There are a number of different types. Primarily, these are caused by viruses. So other types of upper respiratory infection virus that you might have heard of are influenza, for example. So that's the one that we all know as the flu. The common cold is one, of course. And another one that falls into that category is COVID. Broadly speaking, there are 4 stages to an upper respiratory tract infection. So this is incubation, symptoms starting to emerge, then we move on into remission and recovery. The most important stages in terms of whether or not we get ill are the first 2. So incubation, which is when the virus has got into the body, it starts to multiply and replicate in the body, but we don't have symptoms during this phase. And then we move on into the early symptom phase where the immune system is starting to recognize that the virus is there, it's multiplying in the body, and it's increasing in number. And we then start to feel these early symptoms, such as a scratchy feeling at the back of the throat or a sore throat, runny nose, cough, etc.
Well, thanks so much, Professor. But what can people do, to try to treat and remove these viruses?
So there's not really anything that people can do in terms of products that can be used to get rid of a virus. Traditionally, it's not, the body will do that with time. It's normally just waiting it out and treating the symptoms. So often we take over-the-counter products that help us feel a little bit better, help us, help alleviate the pain whilst we put up with these symptoms for a while.
Sounds like a familiar situation. Professor, now we understand that you've been researching a product called Enzyme that should offer folks a way to fight back, right?
Yeah, so Enzyme, which I've been doing research on specifically in endurance athletes over the last 5 years or so, the difference here is it's not intended to treat the symptoms. It's intended to either stop the virus from infecting the body in the first place, or if used at the early stages of an infection, when those early symptoms start to emerge, it's trying to limit that virus from replicating and spreading in the body, and therefore allowing the body to eliminate it and get rid of it, and the symptoms to subside, and you to move into that recovery phase much more quickly.
Klaus, the science sounds great. Can you tell us a little bit more how this technology actually works?
Yeah, so it's basically the technology comes in a tiny bottle that you spray at the back of your throat twice, 6 times a day.
Okay.
And then the product actually works in a fairly unique way, in that it actually helps your body fight the infection by lowering the viral load. So the way the product works, it has 2 active ingredients, glycerol and a clever natural enzyme called trypsin. They together trap the virus, and then more importantly, they deactivate the virus, which basically means that the activation stops the virus from sticking to the back of your throat, which is what causes the infection.
Glenn, it sounds great, and I understand that you've been working on a number of research programs on this barrier technology. What have you discovered so far?
So in the first study, we found a couple of things. One was that when people were ill, their severity rating, so how bad they felt with that upper respiratory illness, it was lower in the group using Enzyme compared to the control group. And the other thing we found there was that the duration that they had that illness, or the duration that they presented with symptoms, was significantly lower. So it was around about 33%, or 4 days quicker to get over that than the control group. In the next study that we're currently in the middle of, but we've done the halfway analysis, we found similar results, but also we've been monitoring the viruses. We've been taking swabs to detect the viruses and detect the viral load. And this tells us information about the multiplication and the replication of that virus in the body. And what we found in that one, in that early analysis, is that the viral load for rhinovirus was significantly lower in the Enzyme group compared to the placebo group.
So the results are telling you that this product really, really works, huh?
The evidence that we've collected so far in our studies would certainly suggest that.
Well, thanks so much, sir, especially for joining us all the way from England. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Couple more questions. So do I spray it when I start feeling that, that little feeling back there that I'm like, ooh, something's happening?
It's a very good question. So you actually nailed it right on the head. So it actually works in two ways. When you feel that first signs of a cold infection at the early stage that Glenn has talked about, then you spray, and it actually shortens the duration of the cold. You could also use it if you're going out into the external environment, getting on an airplane, getting to a Christmas party, where you think you might be exposed to viruses, and then you just spray it, and you can go.
And then obviously stop when you're feeling better and you don't feel that cold or anything of those symptoms.
That's correct.
Fantastic. So I understand the product is not available here in the U.S. So how can we learn more about the product and what y'all do? Yeah,
so what I recommend you do is you go to the Enzymatica website at enzymatica.com, where you can find out all about the company and, more importantly, on the science behind the product.
Enzymatica.com.
Enzymatica.com.
Great stuff.
Of course, thank you so much for being here and being a part of the show.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
So if you want more information, you can always go to our website, thebalancingact.com. We'll be back right after this.